Hi! Right, as promised, my first recipe. I bet you've all been sat there this morning waiting for this exciting lemon cake. No, I'm only joking. Right, I thought I'd start with a simple Victoria sponge cake and we'll just flavour it with lemon. So, to start with, I've got 2 tins. You can either use 2 separate tins and half the mixture, or you can use a larger tin and put it all in, cook it all in one. If you cook it all in one, it'll need longer cooking time and you need to reduce the heat slightly. So I am going to make a big one. So I'm going to line the tin first of all. So I've got some baking paper. You just pop it in the tin, go around the edges. That will give you a nice crease to cut round. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just cut round there. It's just really so that the cake will come out easier and it won't stick to the tin. So we'll cut around there like that, and it's not a perfect circle, it doesn't really matter, pop that in there. And then I'm just going to put this around the outside, like that. So basically you've just lined the tin, it will just be easier to take it out. And by the way, this is a loose bottom tin. If you have a loose bottom tin, you're not messing about digging, trying to get the cake out, lumps are coming off it, and it's just easier really. So I've weighed out the ingredients, most of the ingredients ready, so that it's not so boring. So I'm just going to, so what we've got is, I've doubled the recipe to make a large cake, or this will make 2 small cakes and then you can sandwich it together. So I've got 8 ounces of margarine, 8 ounces of sugar, 8 ounces of self-raising flour. The secret ingredient, this is obviously gluten-free self-raising flour. Dove's Farm do an amazing range of gluten-free flours. Secret ingredient is xanthium gum. You don't need very much of it, but it will bind things together because no gluten in, if you're using gluten-free flour, gluten sticks things together, so you haven't got that stickiness. So this xanthium gum does an amazing job, but don't use too much of it or it'll come out like a block of rubber. So that's my secret ingredient, which I'll add to the flour now actually. And I'm literally putting just a small amount on the tip of a teaspoon and mix that in with my self-raising flour. So that's that done. So most cake recipes will say for 8 ounces of ingredients 4 eggs, but I don't like to use 4 eggs, and also when you're cooking gluten-free you need to get moisture in the cake, so I tend to use 3 eggs and add some milk. So break the eggs into the bowl. Whoa, that nearly broke for me on the floor. Right, so I've got 3 eggs. I'm going to put the sugar in with the eggs and then give that a really good whisk. It's going to be really noisy. We need to whisk this so that it's nice and light colour, fluffy with lots of air in it, and that's what's going to make the cake rise. So it's a bit noisy, I don't know whether you can still hear me. I'm basically just giving that a really good whisk up. I whisk it for quite a long time, a couple of minutes, and it will be really, really bubbly then.
The mirror's image, it tells me it's home time, but I'm not finished, 'cause you're not by my side.
Okay, so that's nice light yellow colour now, lots of bubbles in there, which is what you need. So now we're going to add the margarine. Right, okay, so I'm going to, instead of adding the margarine to my smaller container, I'm going to actually add what I've just whisked in my larger container. I didn't think this through actually, I should have done it the other way around, but never mind. The TV chefs make mistakes, they just recut, retake, but I'm not going to do that because I can't be bothered really. So I've mixed, put all that into there, and now I'm going to give that another mix with, so now we've got the margarine in. So what we're doing is we're mixing all of the wet ingredients first, and this is really important because then we get a lot of air into the mixture, and then the flour goes in last. So sorry, a bit more noise now. Okay, so now we have got a nice light fluffy mixture. So now we're going to add the flour. So some people say add it gradually and whisk, just chuck it all in. And sorry, more whisking. Start off slow because the flour will literally go everywhere. Once it starts to mix in, and then you can increase the speed. Okay, right, so I've got some milk now. So probably 4 dessert spoons of milk. You could put real lemon juice in. It depends really, if you like sweet things and not too sharp, then you're better off to use some lemon essence. So I'm just going to put a couple of drops of lemon essence into there. You can use real lemon juice. If you wanted to use real lemon juice, probably 4 teaspoons. Bit more whisking. Make it really, really light. And as I arrived, I thought I saw you leaving, carrying your shoes. Decided that once again I was just dreaming of bumping into you. Now it's 3 in the morning, and I'm trying to change your mind. Left your motive. So now I am going to zest a lemon to put in. So actually I'll just do it straight into the bowl. So I've got my lemon, I've already washed it. Really important to wash the skin. Well, as all fruit and vegetables really, I wash everything before I use them. This is a micro grater and they are absolutely brilliant. You don't have to have one of these, you can use a normal cheese grater with a small, obviously the smaller side. But these are fantastic and they get a nice fine pieces of zest. So I'm going to zest that into there now. You see how well it zests as well. So we do, because I've doubled the recipe, I'm going to put the zest of a whole lemon into there. And there we go. Okay, so we'll now give that a bit of a stir with a spoon. Just mix all that lemon zest in. Don't stir it too much with a spoon because we want to keep the air in. Right, so now just going to put it into the tin. This is a fun bit because you start putting it in and all the paper starts going into the cake. So start off, if you put the paper in, if you're using the bigger tin, if you're using the smaller tin, you don't really need to put the paper around the edges. The one thing about the bigger tin is it will keep the moisture in the centre, but you do need to reduce the heat. So if you're using the smaller tins, set your oven to gas mark 4, 180 centigrade, and then if you're using the bigger tin, start it off at gas mark 4 for about 10 minutes and then just reduce that heat to gas mark 3. Keep checking it and you might need to reduce it down to gas mark 2 just so that it doesn't burn on the top before it's cooked in the middle. So this is really professional, isn't it? This is why I'm not a TV chef. I can't even get my mixture in without the paper falling down. I need an assistant. That'd be a good thing, wouldn't it? I could be like the female version of the airy bikers, couldn't I? If I get an assistant, what could we be instead of the airy bikers? Give yourself like the booby bikers. I'll have to try and find a female assistant. And then we can travel around the world and do recipes in bizarre places. That'll actually be really good fun. Maybe the TV companies will see my YouTube videos and offer me some kind of contract where I can go and cook in the Australian outback, gluten-free. Bit of a problem though, I don't like flying, but I'll have to get around that. Or maybe I could travel on the boat, so probably 3 months on the boat, and I can do all this cooking on the deck of the boat. Get to Australia. Yeah, great. Yeah, coming up, I'm going to do special features. I'm going to do a barbecue gluten-free menu. I keep saying gluten-free. What I'm showing you is recipes for the whole family. It's not specifically gluten-free. Most of the things I'm using are naturally gluten-free, which you would be using anyway, a normal family would use. So really all I'm doing is substituting, in this, for instance, in this cake, the only thing I've substituted is the flour. Everything else is natural, which is great, because I don't want, when I was first diagnosed, I didn't want to just use everything gluten-free, and certainly not subject my family to eating gluten-free cooking. And that's why I've adapted ordinary recipes. Just flatten this out now, just to make it nice and smooth and kind of even on top. And that's why I decided I would just mess around with normal recipes and just really substitute the ingredient that would have gluten in, so that it's almost literally like a normal cake. So there's my cake. That's going to go into the oven. If you've used the individual tins, probably 20-25 minutes, just check it. If you put a skewer in the middle and it comes out and there's nothing on it, then you know it's cooked. This one I'm going to start off at gas mark 4, 10 minutes, and then I'm going to... So yeah, I'm going to leave this in for 40 minutes. I'll check it after 30 minutes, check it again at 40 minutes. It might need 50 minutes. It all really depends on your oven. So I'm going to put this in now, and then I'll come back later when I take it out, and then we'll decorate it. Okay, see you in a little while. Right, cake's out the oven. I've left it to cool. So I'm just taking the paper off. Take it off the base. Right, cake's off the base. So now what I need to do is cut that in half. If you make the 2 individual ones, you don't have to cut it in half, which can be easier. The reason I didn't do that is because my trays are sloping, so I get this slopey cake, and this is why I've decided to use 1 tray. But it is easier actually if you do. So they're nice and spongy inside, which is what we wanted. And now we're going to put the cream in. So I've weighed out the ingredients in advance. So I've got 4 ounces of butter, which I've slightly softened in the microwave. 10 seconds, check it, another 10 seconds. Don't have it so that it's water, but it needs to be really, really soft. 4 ounces of butter, 8 ounces of icing sugar. So you basically just double up the icing sugar on whatever you've weighed out the butter. So I'm going to pour the butter into the icing sugar. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all give it a stir with the spoon, because if not, when I put the mixer on, I'm literally going to be covered in icing sugar, which is, well, probably more fun for kids than adults, because it's the adults that have to clean it up afterwards. Right, so give that a little bit mix in so that it's just made the icing sugar moist, so that when I put the mixer into it, it's not going to be a cloud of smoke. So we need to give this a really, really good mix. So a little bit more noise now. Start off slowly because it still is going to be a little bit smoky.
Why'd you only call me when you're high? High. Why'd you only call me when you're high? Somewhere darker.
We can then and put the lemon in. Now I'm not going to use the lemon zest for this, I'm actually going to use lemon juice because it's quite sweet. So if you use the lemon juice, that will just take off some of the sweetness. If you haven't got a juicer, brilliant trick, you can use a spoon to take the juice out of the lemon. Just make sure there's no pips left. There is a pip there. So do it quite slowly or lemon juice will squirt everywhere, but just basically put your dessert spoon into the lemon and squeeze it at the same time, and it will just... I'm not going to put too much in, so I'm probably going to do a couple of squeezes. It's probably equivalent to about 3 teaspoons. So that's the moisture in there now. That's going to really soften this cream up.
Somewhere darker, talking the same shite. I need a partner. Well, are you out tonight? It's harder and harder to get you to listen. More I get through the gears, incapable of making alright decisions and having bad ideas. Now it's 3 in the morning.
Okay, it's really nice light cream now. If you wanted to, you could use lemon curd. You could put some lemon curd in if you want to, and you could maybe do half of the cream and half lemon curd. I'm just going to put all cream in. I'm just going to spread that onto one half. This is great as well because it's Mother's Day, so it's kind of, well, by the time you see this video it's probably going to be too late to be thinking of making Mother's Day cakes, but I'm making this for my mum, and she's coming down for a roast dinner, so I've got roast pork in the oven, crackling, just made the apple sauce, potatoes in, so I shall give her a nice roast dinner and then we can finish with the lemon cake. And it's spring, so what better flavour? Lemon. Right, so I've got cream in, and now, because it is kind of a special cake for later on, I am going to put some cream in the middle as well, which is really unhealthy, but I think if it's a treat occasionally it's fine. So I've got some double cream. This is really simple, so we just put some double cream in the bowl. Just add a little bit of sugar, you don't want much, probably 3 or 4 teaspoons of sugar. Just going to go and wash my blades. Okay, so I've got the double cream in the bowl, 4 teaspoons of sugar, and just going to give that a whisk up now. Because then it's not so nice, so I'm going to leave that now. It's still quite thin, and I'm going to put that in the middle. So I've not done too much because we are kind of into healthy eating, and my daughter won't appreciate it if I put too much cream in it. It's already it's already quite unhealthy, but like I say, it's a treat. It's Mother's Day, so grab a spoon because it's going to be easier to get the cream out. Right, so I've not put too much cream in. You can put as much cream in as you like. You don't need to weigh out cream. Just pour in as much cream as you want in your bowl. A little bit of sugar, whisk it, and that is literally it. So spread that cream on there, and then we'll put the top on. Okay, so we just we can neaten up around the sides. Just spread around the sides just to make it look a little bit neater. Right, so I'm just going to finish this now with some icing sugar and some water to make a glaze. So you want to be really careful because you don't want it to be too runny. So I'm going to put a couple of drops of water in, start stirring it, and then you just basically keep going with a few more drops until it starts to thicken. You don't want it too runny, else it won't set and it will go everywhere. So that's kind of becoming quite thick now. Now what I'm going to do for the top is I've got some orange zest. So I'm just going to put a couple of drops of the orange zest in, just to give it a bit of a different flavour on top from the lemon. So you'll have this lemon with this nice orange top on it. I'm just going to put literally a spot of water. That's coming up nice and thick. If you can see that, that's going to be nice and spreadable still. So this is just so easy. It's just ice and sugar with some water. Don't have to weigh it out. Just put some ice and sugar in a bowl. And if it's too thin, you can just add more ice and sugar. So you can't really make mistakes. And if you make a mistake, it really doesn't matter. You just start again. Cooking, you don't have to get the recipe perfect every single time. I mean, there's times when I've tried out new recipes, it's been a complete disaster. But, you know, with gluten-free cooking, it's trial and error. So you try something, some things work, some things don't. And if it doesn't work, sometimes it's a little bit disappointing because you see this recipe and you see the picture and you think, oh, this is going to be so good. And it turns out not very good at all. And it's a bit disappointing, but it doesn't matter. You just try again. So I'm going to spread this out now, over there. And then that will just harden up and we'll get a nice glaze on the top. If you wanted to, you could go down the sides with it. But I think I'm just going to leave it open and just, I might just let it go over to the sides a little bit so it starts to drip down the sides. Right, so we're just moving to the sides. If you don't want it dripping down the sides, and you want it really, really neat, just when you smooth it out, don't take it right to the edge. But I'm actually going to let this drip down the side because I think it looks quite home-baked. If I make a mistake in cooking, I always just name it rustic. It's great. You can say, yes, it's home-cooked, home-baked, rustic, and get away with everything then. So, there we go, got that. Right, so we just give that a couple of minutes to start to harden up and then we'll just put some decorations on top. Okay, right, now I'm just going to decorate and we're going to keep it quite simple. So I've got some wafer daisies, which is Dr. Octar. Sell them in most supermarkets. I've read the ingredients beforehand, they are completely gluten-free. So I'm going to keep it quite simple. I'm going to decorate with the wafer daisies. I'm just going to put a little bit grated zest on top. So you can, like I say, if you haven't got a micro grater, just use a cheese grater. You can grate it on a saucer or something first if you want. I'm just going to grate this straight on top of the cake. So I'll just put, it's probably best if you do it in a saucer because now I've got big lumps everywhere actually. Where it's stuck to the, that's fine anyway. So a little bit of zest on top. I love lemon, so I just go crazy with it. But if you can put as much or as little lemon as you want in. Right, so now for the fun bit. I'll just grab some of these wafer daisies. Just right, well, it's a lemon cake, so there's pink ones and white ones, but I don't think and yellow. So I think I'm just going to stay with. Well, I might put a pink one on. I'll put. How should I do this? We'll turn it yellow and white around the edge. Maybe just put 4 on, and maybe a pink in the middle. That looks pretty spring, Mother's Day-y. And there we are, our finished gluten-free lemon cake, iced, creamed, and I'm sure that's going to taste absolutely fantastic. Give it a go, see what you think. If you've got people coming round for dinner, make the cake. Don't tell them you've made it gluten-free. Make the cake, let them eat the cake and they will not know that cake is gluten-free. Don't tell them. It's fantastic. So if you like this cake, please like and subscribe. Going to be probably in the week, if I've got time, I'm going to be doing some gluten-free pastry and making some quiches. I know I had a comment on my Facebook, as a lady asking me about snacks and lunches for a child's lunchbox. So the quiche will be brilliant for that. So see you then. Thanks for tuning in.